Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 6 of Rounding Third. My name is Jeremy Lapidus, co host of this show, joined, as always, by my friend and co host.
Haden Raymer.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. This is a big episode for us. This is officially, if you're joining us live, 2 days before opening day. And that means, of course, prediction episode, everyone's favorite. Um, I'm very excited for this. So, what do you got for us today, Hayden? Where do you want to start?
I figured we start in. I guess my question for you is: do you want to break it down by like region, or do you want to break it down by AL and NL?
I was just gonna start do by AL and NL, go division by division.
Okay. So you want to start out East Coast, West Coast,
Let's start off with the East.
the AL East.
Yes, sir. This is a tough division. Uh, I can see pretty I can see pretty much any of these teams winning the division. Quite honestly, you have the Yankees, who, Aaron Judge is back, so they'll be fine. Um, the Blue Jays, they stock back up on talent. Excuse me. They stock back up on talent. They're a very deep lineup. Uh, it's a very, very good team. And then the Rays are the Rays. They're going to hopefully be healthy this season and everything will be there. The Orioles have a nice young core. I don't know if they're quite ready to compete with this for the division yet, but they've got a nice young core, and if everything goes perfectly, maybe they could. And then the Red Sox, maybe not, but they're hurt. But saying all that, I've got the Rays winning this division. It's a it's a tight one, but when you can have a healthy season with all the guys that they have, Randy Rosarena, Wander Franco, maybe you get a full season of Tyler Glass now. You never know. Uh, it's a very scary team, and the Rays will be the Rays. They're very, very good. So I have them taking this division.
Yeah. No. Hey, listen. Rays very good team. Like you said, Red Sox. I don't think there's a shot. When you look at like the people they lost this offseason, they lost Xander Bogarts, they lost Rich Hill, Michael Walker, and Nathan Eovaldi all in the rotation. They lost JD Martinez, uh, and they didn't really make a lot of moves to kind of address those losses. Uh, you could say Corey Kluber came in, but they're relying on a lot of talent where it's in that rotation. It's a little sketch. Honestly, is probably the best word to use. It's kind of that rotation's kind of built together on duct tape. Uh, and so I don't really see them making that big of a run. Uh, and then you go to the Blue Jays. I don't like the moves that they made this offseason. I don't
Really?
really like the sign. I like the signing of Chris Bassett. I like grabbing Eric Swanson. Uh, but you're taking out Teoscar Hernandez in what was one of a top five lineup in the game. So you're going to lose some there. And, the additions you bring in to that lineup, you're talking about Kevin Kiermaier. He's not known for his bat. Dalton Varsho is not known for his bat either, And honestly, frankly, I think last year was an anomaly with Dalton Varsho. A lot of his value came from being the best defensive center fielder in baseball. And when you look at year-to-year advanced defensive statistics, they're not very static. They change a lot. And 1 year somebody can be elite, and the next year they're just merely average. Uh, and so, yeah, he'll provide a lot of value, but you're also moving him to left field for Kevin Kiermaier. So I'm a little skeptical of that. And the only other addition they brought in was Brandon Belt, who's coming off of, an injured season where he wasn't that great. Uh, and it's just I don't see this team winning the division, especially with who they're stacked up against. I think like the no doubt who's gonna win this. If they're healthy, uh, it's the uh, it's the Yankees. Uh,
Really. The Yankees
I'm
are already injured to all hell, though. That's the
Yeah,
issue.
so that's the issue. If you have Rodon and Severino come back here in like May, uh, this team's winning the division. Uh, no doubt about it. They've already announced that Anthony Volpe will be on the opening day roster. Uh, and when you add him to what was already a really stacked lineup, yeah, sure, Aaron Judge isn't gonna hit 60 home runs again, but I mean that bullpen's elite. Uh, the rotation still has even without those Rodon, Severino, Montes. So is Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez, Clark Schmidt's solid. Domingo Herman is he's a fifth starter, uh, and it's just that's all you can really get out of him. But I think on paper better than a lot of the other lineups. The Orioles, you're kind of asking they can win the division, but you're kind of relying on young players taking a step forward, and I think that's not really a certainty. And the Rays, I never see them winning the division. They're always second in my head.
I mean, yeah, but that's just how the Rays are. That's just, they're always second, and then they'll just jump out at you and be like, actually, I just won 162 games.
I guess. I think honestly with the Rays, it depends on when Curtis Mead comes up and how good he is. In my mind, uh, and if again their young guys step forward, and I don't know necessarily if those young guys will take a step forward.
I mean, and like I understand the Yankees and the Rays are obviously the two front runners here. I like the Blue Jays a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think you are really undervaluing the moves that they did. Like, I understand you're losing a bit of a bat, but when you can get that
A
defensive
bit.
outfield, when you can get that outfield that they have right there, that
Mm-hmm.
is the best outfield in baseball defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, why not? You're a big defense guy. I know you're all in on that.
Yeah.
If they can consistently like save a run, I think that offense is good enough, even without Teoscar Hernandez, to like they'll make up for his lost offensive value with their defense. You understand? Or that's just how I'm seeing it.
So my thing with the Blue Jays is I would love the moves they made if Kevin Kiermaier was not signed to a major league contract this offseason. I think that signing kind of makes all the other ones not, it's they have too much defense. Does that make sense?
No,
Where so okay, here I guess Dalton Varsho, right? A lot of his value last year came from his defense because I mean you're
right.
talking about a player who I'm looking at his stats now was merely above average offensively. Uh, yeah, he stole 16 bags, but I mean his base running wasn't like otherworldly compared to his 2021 season, uh, where he in 95 games had 2.3 FWAR. Uh, it's just I don't like his offensive game, and then you couple that with you know he's Jeremy. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking about my point. Uh, Dalton Varsho, it's just his value comes defensively, and when you talk about year to year defensive statistics, uh, they don't stay the same. So it's just hard to project how good a player will be. I think his 2022 season is probably one of the better seasons we're gonna get out of a player like that. And now I'm gonna try to go ahead and figure out what is going on with Jeremy here. Oh,
He's back.
I'm back. I'm gonna have to
I
keep my
still can't hear
video
you.
off. Okay. Slay. Now can you hear me?
Dang, this is
Can you hear me now?
there you are.
Okay. I yeah, so I pretty much just went on my whole like defensive analytics, like defensive statistics, which is what a
And
big part of.
none of it came through.
Oh, I mean, it was on the stream. Basically, it's just the what his value was. You're putting him in a role where it becomes less valuable. Left field defense largely does not matter, uh,
Mm.
and I don't like the move, frankly.
All right, that's fair. No, I mean it's a tough division. I think you get probably three of these teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, so whenever you can do that, that is, obviously a very tough division to win. But
Mm,
you know, all three of those teams, I think, has a real good uh, chance of doing it.
for sure. I mean, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure. I'm gonna keep my camera off because I think that's causing a bunch of issues.
All
Uh,
right, sounds good.
just because Discord does not like our Wi-Fi for some reason. For
Oh
me,
well.
on my computer. Anyways, you want to move on over to the Central?
Yeah, I do. The Central, pretty. I hate to say cut and dry because there's a couple interesting teams here, but the Guardians are just head and shoulders above the rest of them right now. I know the Twins got Correa back, and the White Sox always kind of look like they have a chance to do things, but the Guardians were so good last year, and they only added pieces. They didn't get any worse. They only got better. I think this is the Guardians division to lose. That being said, the White Sox, if they can stay healthy, have an outside shot. And same thing with the Twins. It really is the same story. Uh, it's not like as close as it is in the East, like where we were talking, where all three of these teams have a realistic chance.
Mm-hmm.
But the White Sox and the Twins, I think, have an outside shot of taking this division from the Guardians, and it all depends on health. Obviously, with Twins, it's Byron Buxton, excuse me, and he's the cog that makes the wheel turn in that organization. Uh, and the White Sox is just everyone. They are constantly dealing with the injury bug, and we'll see if it'll work. I'm a lot higher on the Twins than the White Sox, but I think there is an outside shot for both of those teams to take the division. But it's the Guardians right now.
Yeah. I mean, the White Sox, honestly, their biggest move this offseason was getting rid of Tony La Russa.
It's a good
Uh,
move.
sure they brought in Benintendi. Uh, they called and they signed Clevenger, this offseason. So there's some moves there. Liam Hendricks is out with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which we don't know when he's going to return from that. That is a massive loss to that team. Uh, and I mean, like you said, it comes down to health. Can Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert Jr. stay healthy? Uh, and then, I mean, something that I think honestly is the reason why I'm very low on the White Sox is they lost Jose Abreu, who was pretty much an integral part of that team. Uh, and I don't really see a world where it works out for them. The Twins, they're solid. Uh, they trade away Luis Arias for Pablo Lopez. Uh, honestly, that trade was great for them. I thought that was a really good move. Uh, and obviously they still have Carlos Correa, Buxton, Max Kepler. They added Joey Gallo, which will be interesting to see kind of how they navigate that. They traded for Michael A. Taylor, which theoretically would help keep Buxton healthy somewhat. You still have that Gold Glove defense. You kind of let Buxton DH and Michael A kind of just play defense for the team. And that bullpen is solid. Uh, a lot of solid arms in there. But no, like you said, it's Cleveland's division to lose. They added Josh Bell, which him and Ramirez hitting back to back is
Yeah,
insane. They just
terrifying.
they just locked up Andres Jimenez to like a 7-year deal. And he had a really good year last year. Again, though, a lot of his value came from his defense, so we don't know kind of necessarily. I need another year to kind of prove it with those types of players. Stephen Kwan is ridiculous at the leadoff spot. Ahmed Rosario is really good. Uh, that whole team is just like a bunch of really underrated dudes, and that rotation is just nasty. Uh, that and that back end of the bullpen, as long as that rotation goes 6 innings, you don't score a run on the Guardians. So I mean, it's hard to see this team losing this division, frankly. Uh, it's just a really good lineup, and they have Mike Zunino added at catcher. Him, who's essentially replacing Austin Hedges. I think that's an upgrade. Uh, Adding Josh Bell to DH spot, like it's the team improved. And
Oh yeah,
I don't think really. I think the Twins is the only other team you can really say that about, and the Twins, they didn't even go 500 last year. Uh, so
yeah. It is one of those situations. I mean, you can make excuses for the Twins. Buxton got hurt at the end of the season, uh, and that kind of ruined everything again. But that's just how it is. It's every year with the Twins. Uh, the rest of the rest of the AL is too good. I think there's only one team out of the Central that makes it. Um, there's just so many good teams at the top of the AL right now that it's going to be real tough for two of these teams to make it. So
mm-hmm.
this is a super important division race.
Yeah. I think this is the only division where, in all of baseball, where there's only gonna be one team that could theoretically come out of it
Right.
and be in the postseason. Uh, do you have any other thoughts on this AL Central?
No, not really. The Tigers and the Royals we didn't touch on, but they're in the midst of like deep rebuilds, or I guess technically the end of deep rebuilds, but they're still rebuilding.
Yeah, they're re-entering a rebuild. Uh, this is, I mean, Miggy's last ride. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be that Tigers team is gonna be fun to watch just because of that. Torkelson and it's Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green, two young prospects to get the soak up all that information from Miggy while they can. Uh, that'll be a fun watch. The Royals, I mean, they are. That's don't even get me started on the Royals. It's a mess. Uh, but hey, I can confidently say I don't think they're the worst team in this division.
Wow. Hot take right there.
Yeah.
All right. The West. At the top, it's the Astros. Not really that close. The Astros are just so so good. It's unfair. Um, but then we have a really interesting race for second in that division, in my opinion, at least. Um, you have the Angels, obviously, when you have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and maybe a healthy Anthony Rendon, but that's not even part of the equation. When you have the two best players in baseball, um, you obviously at the preseason are a threat. And they made a lot of good moves to fix their pitching this offseason, which always has been their biggest problem. The Mariners, we saw them make the playoffs for the first time in 20 years last year, which huge. And they only improved. They got a couple bats, and that rotation and the bullpen is still super solid. Another one, the Rangers. They added DeGrom. They still have Seager and Semien, and they have another year for some of the younger guys and just come into their own. So I don't think they have good of a shot at second as those other two teams, but you never know what kind of development could happen. But it's the Astros division right now.
I uh I disagree.
You really?
I think the loss of Jose Altuve is massive to that lineup. When you kind of look at and break it down, that and Michael Brantley is still out. I don't think he's projected to be back. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. Uh, but I mean, once you get past the five hole in that lineup right now, I mean, obviously, it's Jeremy Pena, who has all sorts of accolades after just one season in the big leagues.
Hmm.
Kyle Tucker, one of the more underrated outfielders in baseball. Alex Bregman, uh, Jordan Alvarez, who's arguably the best hitter in baseball, and then Jose Abreu, who we touched on, who's really good at baseball. And then it kind of falls off after that. The Astros, they love Martin Maldonado. He's still going to be there. Jake Myers is manning center field. Chas McCormick and David Hensley at left field and second, respectively. And that doesn't really inspire me. But when you look at some of these other lineups, in this division, Seattle, once you get past the five hole, I mean, obviously it doesn't have that top end talent, but Cal Riley, AJ Pollock, JP Crawford, I'm a little bit more inspired by those guys. Jared Kelnick's looked good this spring. He's in there. Uh, and you go to LA, they have Mike Trout, Otani obviously at the top of that. So they have that top end talent to compete. Anthony Rendon's still in that lineup. Hunter Renfroe, Brandon Drury's really good. Gio Urshela, Logan Hop is probably arguably the best upcoming catcher in baseball. Or best catching prospect now that Adley's graduated. Uh, and I think their rotations, they have that same upside as the Astros. I think the Angels, their bullpen's a little bit lacking. But I think their lineup, like I said, I think it's better. And honestly, I think Seattle has the best roster. We're talking about bench depth. I mean, obviously, I pay a bit more attention to Seattle than most teams. But when you're talking about depth that this team has, I don't think there's a comparison in the AL right now. It's honestly, it's absurd how stacked this roster is. And they still have tons of upcoming prospects who can make an impact this year.
The homer pick.
It's
I'm
I know, but it's I mean they have Sewald and Andres Munoz closing out games. David
hmm
Castillo, and is still setting up games. They added Trevor Gott, who's he's solid. Uh, Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, Robbie Ray, Marco Gonzalez, George Kirby. I mean, a couple years ago, Robbie Ray won the Cy Young,
Yeah.
and he's the number 3 in this rotation. George Kirby had one of the best pitching rookie seasons in a while. Logan Gilbert last year was absurd, and hey, guess what? He added a splitter this offseason. Uh, and they added Teoscar Hernandez and Colton Wong to replace disappointing Jesse Winker and Adam Frazier, which both those players are massive upgrades over those two. I mean the only argument you can make is team it's a little right-handed heavy, but I mean if Kelnick kind of hits that prospect status that in spring he's looked really good, and obviously it's spring, small sample size, all that. I think there's more to dream of with this team than you do
Yeah.
on others, and I think that there alone is why I kind of have this team favored.
Right. It's I did forget, quite honestly, that Altuve got hurt in the World Baseball Classic. That's a huge loss for the Astros. I still think they'll be fine,
Yeah, no, I
but
mean I still think they're gonna make the playoffs. I just when you're, I think with how stacked these teams are, every game counts. And
Right.
being without Jose Altuve really matters because he helps defensively, he helps on the base paths. He's just a great hitter. It's a big loss. And then I mean you talked about the Rangers a little bit. I don't like the Rangers at all.
I know you didn't like the Rangers, but I think they have some sneaky upside here.
I mean they have that same upside, but they have like the most injury concern out of every team in baseball. Uh, like it is absurd how unhealthy this team is. Uh, that and I don't really like their outfield situation, but
Oh well. I think they have enough top end talent on that team to scare some people.
yeah.
But, you know,
So
that's just how it is.
are you sticking with Astros? Sticking.
Yeah, no, I'm sticking with the Astros. I still think I know Altuve's out for what is it,
2 months,
2 months?
probably a
But
month and a half.
like you still have they added Jose Abreu. They still have um, uh, Yordan Alvarez. You know that pitching staff. I know it lost Justin Verlander, but it's still really really good. You know you have a lot of really solid young guys there, and that bullpen's good. The bullpen's really really good too. I think the Astros for those 2 months are going to be able to hold to stay steady enough for Jose Altuve's return.
That's fair. I disagree.
That's fair. Um, Before we move to the NL, we've done the division winners. Who do you have for your three wild cards, Hayden?
My three wild cards. Well, we've already mentioned the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think the Rays probably make the playoffs, and
Yeah, that third one's
the
tough, isn't it?
Angels.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna
That
be the
third
Angels.
that third spot in the AL is so tough, because I know we have different division winners, but I still in the East and the West, but I still have, the Yankees and the Mariners making it. But then it's a question between the Blue Jays and the Angels. And
I think
that
it's the
is
Orioles and the Angels, in my opinion. That's
real
how low I am on the Blue Jays.
that's ridiculous, Hayden.
I don't think
I
you. I think what Teoscar Hernandez. It's the same thing with Jose Abreu. I think in my eyes, Teoscar Hernandez it was the Jose Abreu of the Blue Jays. Like what he brought in the clubhouse, what he did with his bat. It's irreplaceable, and
you know
at least the White Sox made an attempt to replace it. The Blue Jays did not.
I think you forget there's a guy named Vlad
And
Vlad
he's
Guerrero
really good.
Jr.
He's really good. But hey, guess what? I could say, hey, I think you're forgetting the Orioles have Adley Rutschman, Cedric Mullins, and Gunnar Henderson.
Yeah, but they don't have a pitching staff.
Okay, they have a good enough pitching staff.
Not really.
Yeah, they do.
Do they? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
yeah, they do
I...
actually. They do. Kyle Gibson, Cole Irvin, Kyle Bradish, Dean Kremer are all major league starters. It's not an inspiring pitching staff, but it's a pitching staff nonetheless. Like
Look,
they have enough players on that roster where hey, okay, come a couple months, you'll have Grayson Rodriguez and DL Hall up there, and those guys are electric. They're insane. Uh, like you have enough players where I think they're fine. I really like this team. That pitching staff, they still won. They're still above 500, and their pitching staff wasn't great last year either. Remind you.
well, just because you're above 500 doesn't mean you're going to make the playoffs in this.
Oh, I agree. I think the Orioles. I like them. I like their team better than the Blue Jays.
All right, I disagree, but either way, I'm going to pick the Angels just because I really really want them to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with
Yeah, I mean that's the same reason why I picked the Blue Jays. Oh my god, I don't think we can do another show after this. Wow, this is awful. Uh, Give me 1 second, y'all. I gotta fix this. Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, we lost him again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's back.
Okay,
Well,
cool. I yeah. No, I like the Blue Jays more or the Orioles more.
yeah,
There we go.
that's fair.
Hey, you have my videos here now too.
Oh my
Okay,
God, look at
sit
that
up
beautiful
and
face.
stop hiding. There we go. All right, I'm gonna talk about the
Yeah, let's head over to the National League.
National League. You wanna go like snake and go west, or you wanna go back to the east?
I'm all down to snake this.
All right, let's talk about that NL West. You can I take over with the introducing of the teams?
Of course you can.
I mean, listen, you got the young Diamondbacks, Corbin Carroll, Alec Thomas, Gabriel Moreno's on that roster. You got a lot of young players on there. The Dodgers, you know them, you love them. Uh, you know, Clayton Kershaw is on that team still. Uh, there's just so many players on the Dodgers that are good. They lost Trey Turner. They lost Justin Turner. They lost both of them. Both the
They lost the
Turners.
Turners. I
But
know.
hey, it's okay. They still have Mookie Betts. They still have Freddie Freeman. They still have Will Smith, Max Muncy. They added J.D. Martinez. Just kind of a swap there. Uh, Jason Hayward made it on a non-roster invite. James Outman's looked really good this spring. And, that rotation's got Julio Urias, Dustin May, a lot of really interesting players there. In Also, in the same state, they have the San Diego Padres. They added Xander Bogaerts. They have a whole year of Juan Soto, Manny Machado, and guess what? Fernando Tatis is coming back mid-year. Yu Darvish is there still. Blake Snell, a lot of good arms. The Giants, who knows what they're doing. That rotation is one of the best in baseball. And they added, they have a full year of Jock Peterson. They already had Jock Peterson last year, but he's there a little bit longer now. Michael Conforto, really good at baseball. They also added Mitch Haniger, added Taylor Rogers. So now they have both of the Rogers brothers in their bullpen. Really funky stuff they got going on there. Roberto Perez added as a non-roster invite. Interesting guy. Sean Manaea, hey, joins that rotation. And then everyone's favorite weird team, the Colorado Rockies. What are they doing? Mike Moustakas made it on a non-roster invite deal. Jurickson Profar is there as a free agent. And it's a lot of the same players. They added a lot of bullpen arms. Pierce Johnson, Brad Hand, Brent Suter over from Milwaukee, Connor Siebold as like a long swing man. Really weird roster they got. But yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can start by eliminating a team. I think we can both eliminate the Rockies. I think we both agree not
Oh
making
yeah.
it.
We talked
Uh,
about this a little bit on like the last episode that they suck.
yeah.
So yeah,
Uh,
they suck.
who is your second guy out? I think this is a good conversation starter. Who's the second team out?
I so badly want to say the Giants because I just don't like the Giants.
It's the
But
Giants.
I don't think the Diamondbacks are ready yet.
The Diamondbacks already Corbin
I
Carroll.
think the Diamondbacks are going to need another year, and I think the Giants are going to pull some magic out of whatever pot they have. Uh,
No. I mean, listen, they have Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte. Like, I'm sorry, this lineup has a really high upside. The rotation has that same upside. They have like a bunch of top 100 prospects that they can just toss up into that rotation whenever they want. They added like a ton to the bullpen, which was like their big weakness. It was like one of the worst in baseball. And I think that lineup is better than it was last year.
Oh yeah, it's better, obviously, but
And
I
they have Kyle Lewis, Jeremy. All right, like
I'm sorry, but the Giants have Joe Ross, so um,
I just
I
Jeremy, Carson Kelly's out. He fractured his forearm.
oh,
You know what that means?
does that mean that the Diamondbacks are in fourth place in this division?
No, it means Gabriel Moreno is gonna be the starting catcher for them. Uh, which means, yeah, they're gonna be really good this year. That was like the thing that was gonna hold them back was starting Carson Kelly, but now they don't have to do that. Gabriel Moreno can just run away with the roster spot or with the catching position. Uh,
No,
I still think the Diamondbacks are a third place team though. The real race comes down to the Padres and the Dodgers.
I don't
Uh,
think it's much of a race. Like the look, I understand the Dodgers are going to Dodger, but the Padres have you've gone down the list a bit. They have Soto, they have Fernando Tatis when he comes back. They have Manny Machado. They got Xander Bogaerts. That pitching staff is still really good, uh, and that team is really, really good, man. And the Dodgers lost a couple pieces. They lost Trey Turner. They lost Justin Turner. They lost Gavin Lux for the season. Um, you know, but I just think it'll. When I say it's not much of a race, that is wrong. It'll be a race, but I think the Padres will win it pretty by by the standards of what it's been the last couple of years, pretty handily.
uh, you say the Dodgers are gonna Dodger. Well, I think the Padres are gonna Padre. I don't think this team, like, I just, it's the Padres, man. Like, it's, I don't
They
know
won a
what else to
playoff
say.
series, Hayden. I don't think. I think they've unpadre.
I really don't like their rotation. Uh, I'm, I'm a Blake Snell hater through and through. I'll come out and say it. I don't,
Wow.
I don't like. I just the bullpen is like a lot worse than it used to be. Uh, it's just I don't this team. I don't have like that feeling, about this team. I have that feeling about the Diamondbacks. I don't have the feeling about this team.
Well,
Uh,
you shouldn't get that feeling from a team that has four people that are like arguably top 10 players in the MLB right now. That's that's like a different thing. That feeling is when you have a bunch of young prospects, Hayden.
no, I don't have that feeling. I like the Dodgers more still. Uh, like they're gonna Dodger. Jason Hayward's gonna be an All Star this year somehow. Like Will Smith, and you were talking about having the best like top 10 players. Uh, man, like the Dodgers have Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Will
hmm
Smith,
hmm
uh, Max Muncy, JD Martinez, David Peralta is really good against right-handed pitchers. Like Trace Thompson was like a big leaguer last year. Like it's and they have
Look,
Miguel.
I understand the Dodgers are crazy good, but I think the Padres are better.
Okay, and I think you're wrong.
Oh,
Anyways, let's head
whoa.
on into the NL Central.
That was tough for you, yeah.
Sorry, I had the hungry burps.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
Starting off the Cincinnati Reds. They suck. Uh, it's they got Will Benson in a trade. He's pretty good. Uh, Spencer Streer is made the roster out of camp. He's a solid prospect. They added Will Myers from free agency. Jonathan India, Tyler Stevenson are kind of those two names that everybody knows. Jake Fraley is a name that nobody knows, but everybody should love that guy. And that top three of that rotation is like really good actually. Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Graham Ashcraft are like three of like really good young starters. Where this is kind of like a take a step forward year for them. Uh, and then you just hope Joey Votto comes back. This might be his last year in the bigs. Hope he comes back, has a good year. TJ Antone, hope he gets healthy. Lucas Sims, hope he gets healthy and comes back. they could have a pretty good bullpen, and then it's just kind of waiting for these position player prospects to come up. Noelvi Marte's not far back. Cam Collier was drafted last year. Ellie De La Cruz is like insane. Look out for him. Edwin Arroyo's really good. They have like a lot of really good guys from when they tore down that rotation. Uh, when they traded away Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo, Luke Miley. Uh, and I mean, it's just they have a lot of like decent prospects all around. It's this isn't their year, but hey, look out! Like 2024, 2025 seems to be really good. The Pirates are like sneaky good. Uh,
They're in the same situation as the Orioles, in my opinion,
yeah,
where they're like not quite ready to do it, but like they're close. They're like a year away.
they are like so many young prospects where it's like if half of them click, if like just some of them click, like this team's gonna be good. Uh, Mitch Keller, Rich Hill, Vince Velasquez, Ronzi Contreras, Johan Oviedo is a rotation. It's Rich Hill's 43 is a pirate. I don't know what else to say there. David Bednar is like one of the best closers in baseball that nobody knows about. Uh, they have Austin Hedges they brought in to kind of be like that veteran backstop. I really like that move. And they traded for G-Man Choi and they signed Andrew McCutchen. Like those are just two great people to have on your team. I think it's a really fun team. And I think this is probably the best Pirates team since they were like really good in like the mid 2010s. Uh, O'Neal Cruz and Brian Hayes are a lot of fun too. So always fun to watch those guys. And then starting to get kind of good. The Cubs are like the pinnacle of mediocrity this year. They signed Nico Horner to a big extension, like 3-year extension, which is pretty fun. Uh, they're carrying 3 catchers on their roster. They signed Edwin Rios, who never got playing time with the Dodgers. He could be good. Cody Bellinger was like their big ad this offseason. Well, actually, Dansby Swanson. That's another big ad. Uh, it's just a lot of hoping the young guys click again. And then the two like kind of the two favorites, the Brewers. You know what they're gonna do. They're gonna outpitch everybody, both in the bullpen and in the rotation, and just kind of hope that lineup scores enough runs. And the Cardinals are just stacked. It's not fair, and I think we can just leave it there. Like it's just a really good team. It is a really good team. I'm so sorry to everyone who hates the Cardinals because that's like a big population. Like the two most hated franchises are like the Yankees and like the Cardinals from my experience.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And the Cardinals are just really good, and it's not fair. And Jordan Walker made the roster, which we love. So
There's no spot for Jordan Walker on that roster.
Jordan Walker is gonna mash baseballs. Uh, this team's gonna be
They
insane.
gave him an awful number. He needs a better number.
He's 18 now.
Okay. Because when he first showed up, he was number 67, and I was not okay with that. That's not a number you give to a top prospect. That's not that's not
Yeah,
something you do.
I mean their bullpen like is good. Their rotation is like it's kind of scuffed a little bit for like a playoff contender. I would expect that they go in ahead and try to acquire more guys at the deadline. Uh, but I mean that lineup's gonna outmash everybody, so it's not really a question there.
Yeah, yeah. The Cardinals, when you have two of the top 3 MVP vote getters on your team from last year,
And then you add Wilson Contreras.
yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Not gonna lie. Pretty solid.
Yeah,
You lost a couple of the stalwarts from that team, in Pujols and Molina, but you know, Wainwright's coming back for another run.
I think he's
He's
opening the year on the IL, but
Yeah, but he's still got some gas in the tank. I mean, pretty good. Uh, I mean, yeah, that team is stacked.
yeah.
The Brewers pitching, but they made their pitchers angry, so they're in trouble.
I
Or
mean,
they made Corbin Burns angry, so
yeah.
you know.
I mean, listen, that team is like they've got like a bunch of like fun bullpen guys. And honestly, now I'm looking at that lineup, it's not bad if you like you expect like kind of Jesse Winker to bounce back a little bit. Brian Anderson is like a really good 8-hole hitter. Like that's fun at the 8-hole. Uh, and they've got some young, they have Garrett Mitchell and Bryce Terang kind of making their debuts this year. Or not debuts, but getting like a everyday run. I think it's like a good team. Like
Yeah, no, it's a very good team. I think they have a real like. I think they have a like not that outside of a shot of taking the Cardinals out of the division. Quite honestly,
yeah,
um, like it's not something I'm willing to say that they're gonna beat the Cardinals in the division race, but it's gonna be real close. I think it always is with the Brewers.
yeah.
Um, and I know you said the Cubs were mediocre, but yeah, they are. They're super mediocre. I see a lot of what they're doing. I think the Rockies are trying to copy them. Just the Rockies are doing a worse job.
Copying the
Um,
Brewers.
no, of copying the Cubs.
Oh, okay. I completely missed the segue to the
Okay.
Cubs, and I was really confused.
Oh no, I'm on the Cubs now.
Okay.
uh, yeah. Uh, Pirates. I kind of touched on it. They're a year away, and the Reds. They've got some young guys. They've got some hope. Their owner already said that the
What did their owner say? Jeremy! Uh, I am so sorry for all the technical delays, everybody. Uh, we're working on it. We're trying to get it done. It's just Discord does not want to cooperate today, which happens. Uh, so we're just gonna kind of wait for this to figure it out. In the meantime, I'll just do that. Uh, yeah, Cubs. Pretty good. Signed Nico Horner to that extension. Good for them. Lock him up. Dansby Swanson, Trey Mancini, and Cody Bellinger were added. That lineup's pretty much just all brand new. Uh, and Hayden Wazinski, or was Nesky? I don't. Hayden Wesneski. There we go. He's pretty solid. He's kind of sneaky good as a pitcher. Coming up this year, came over from the. Forget where he's coming over from. Okay, that's just I'm just disconnected now from the call. I gotta. I. Here I gotta. Yeah, no, there's just a lot fun stuff. I hate that this happens. You need to leave the call.
What?
You need to leave the call.
I'm
Okay.
just gonna do it this way.
We're gonna just do it this way. All right, guys, we're gonna improvise.
We're gonna improvise.
We're gonna improvise. We're both here in my room now.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. So I mean, I guess the final thing we have to talk about, Jeremy, is the NL East.
It's very exciting.
It's very exciting. I think we can both agree the Nationals suck.
What? I was gonna pick them to win.
The Nats suck. Uh, it's they're not gonna be they're not gonna lose 100 games again. But they're not gonna win a lot of games either.
No, they suck. And when you have your top pitching prospect get hurt with Tommy John,
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
that's it's only gonna make it worse. So we'll see. Maybe they do some fun things.
Probably not.
Maybe Joey Meneses continues his streak of being amazing at baseball.
All I'm saying is Victor Robles' breakout season,
Victor Robles' MVP season.
MVP season.
Yeah.
High words, high praise
It's happening.
from Jeremy here. Let's move on. I think the fourth team that we both think is, the team.
It's the Marlins.
It's going to be the Marlins.
It's got to be the Marlins.
It's got to be the Marlins.
It's always been the Marlins.
I mean,
They just can't hit.
they can't hit. Now, I think there is, we were talking a little bit earlier today. I also, article just went out on the Nats report. You can read about the Marlins there. But, they traded for Luis Arias. They signed Gene Segura to a contract. And, I mean, their bullpen and their rotation are both going to be solid. Their bullpen's going to be improved over last year. Last year was kind of dreadful. And it's just the sum of Jorge Soler, Avisail Garcia, and Jacob Stallings bounce back, I think is the question for that team.
I think they'll be better. I mean,
Yeah.
they brought in a couple guys. They obviously you mentioned Gene Segura. And I think they'll get better. They brought in Luis Arias. It's just a better team than last season, And I love their pitching so much. I'm a big pitcher guy, and I love their pitching. So I think they'll be fine. They're not going to compete for the division, but I think they're only going to get better.
I mean, I think they could.
Really?
Brian De La Cruz had a really good second half last year, and his batted ball data suggests he could kind of continue it.
Right.
And then Jazz Chisholm, if he puts up a healthy season, he's been really good. So we can see, what is a full season of Jazz Chisholm. And, you can talk yourself into this team winning the division.
I mean, I can't because the Mets and the Braves are going to win 100 games, and I don't think this team is going to win 100 games.
They could.
I don't think they could. I think they can win, 80 games, maybe 85, but I don't think they're winning 100.
Okay. Who do you think's the third place team, Jeremy?
It's the Phillies. They're just too hurt right now.
Yeah.
It's what it comes down to. It's unfortunate, when you lose 2 or 3 of your key pieces before the season begins. It's not the greatest position to be in.
Yeah. I mean, they improved their bullpen an insane amount. I think their bullpen's actually going to be a strength this year, which, Phillies and a strong bullpen, it almost doesn't go together in the same name. Now, what they do with that fifth rotation spot is going to be interesting. Right now it's projected that Matt Strahm is going to be that guy. And, oh boy, do I hope it's not that guy. Andrew Painter was looking to be that guy, but he went down with, I think, Tommy John as well. No, they're trying to avoid Tommy John with him. That's right. So, I mean, there's, that the lineup kind of just to keep itself afloat. It's almost similar to what happened with Altuve and the Astros, where if they can be healthy and put it together for a couple months, I think they could make a run at the playoffs. But it really kind of depends on what they do until Harper returns.
Yeah, it's just a lot of injuries. It's just so many injuries.
I mean, they got Trey Turner though.
They do have Trey Turner.
And Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto. That's a solid lineup.
Yeah.
I was really hoping they went and got Luke Voigt, but Milwaukee beat them to the race and signed him to a major league contract. Then I guess, who do you have in second, Jeremy?
God, I have the Mets in second because the Braves are just too good. I know the Mets. I know the Mets are so good, but look at the Braves lineup, man.
there's not a single weakness anywhere. Maybe I guess maybe shortstop, but you know.
Oh yeah, shortstop. I think Eddie Rosario's kind of meh.
But I mean, he's
Marcell
still.
Ozuna's kind of meh.
It's fine. I mean, that pitching is really good too. It's I don't think. Look, the Mets are so good. When you add Verlander to Scherzer and then that lineup on its own, but I just think the Braves will pull it out. Like it's gonna come down to the wire like last season, but and I do think both of these teams are gonna win 100 games, but I think the Braves will just do a smidge better than the Mets because the Mets are gonna Met.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the moves and a lot of acquisitions the Braves did this offseason. Uh, but when you look at the Mets roster, like, it's unfair. Kind of how good they are, and then I mean, it's like then you look at their weaknesses, like okay, catcher and like third base, at DH they're a little weak, and then you kind of look and they have Brett Beatty, who is a top 25 prospect. Francisco Alvarez at catcher, who is a top 5 prospect. And you've got all sorts of guys who can kind of come up and fill those roles. And then you're like, you know what? Like I'm actually kind of think the Mets are pretty good. I think the reason why I have the Mets over the Braves is just their depth. I think there's no team with better depth than the Mets right now. Because, I mean, they lost the best closer in baseball, and they're fine. Like, that doesn't happen. So, I think, having any team but the Mets here is just, it's hard to say. I think, though, it does kind of come down to who is Kodai Senga and, like, how does he transition to MLB.
I love it. I think he's gonna be really good.
Yeah, if he's really good, like, this Mets team is winning the World Series. Like, it's just as easy as
Mets
that.
and World Series don't go together. That no.
2016, no,
They
2015.
didn't win.
2015. Hey, they were there, though. Who are your other 3 wild card spots, then? Obviously, the Mets are going to be in there
Mets
for
are the
you.
wild card. I'm gonna give it to the Phillies probably, and then the Brewers.
So, no Dodgers in the playoffs.
Oh, I did forget about the Dodgers, didn't I? The Dodgers are gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Phillies out of it.
So it's going to be, you're going to go Mets, Mets, Brewers, Dodgers.
Sorry, I didn't have my paper in front of me.
Mets, Brewers, Dodgers.
Mets, Brewers, Dodgers. None.
Braves, Brewers, Padres for me. So it's the same idea.
Yeah.
We just swapped division winners. Yeah, okay. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. You have any other thoughts, Mr. Jeremy?
Well, I know it's a bit of a crazy episode, what with connection issues, but we really do appreciate everyone for tuning in to the rounding third show.